One, two, three. Hi guys, it's Dora. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. Today, I'm gonna go over all of my 4 and 5-star reads so far this year. So basically the best books I've read so far in 2020. I usually set my Goodreads goal to about 20 books, but realistically, I read about 25 books a year, so I only have like 8 or so books to talk about, and I'll probably go through them pretty quickly. If it feels like I'm doing this a little too early in the year, it's because I've just been bad about updating my reading this year, to be honest. Every time I talk about what I'm reading in a video, I always say to follow me on Goodreads because I just don't update my YouTube as much as my Goodreads, which really doesn't make any sense, so I'm gonna try to do better next year. But usually I will do a yearly TBR. I will update that halfway through the year, so around like June or July. And then obviously at the end of the year, I'll do my best and worst books of the year. So this year I updated halfway through the year with my mid-year book freakout tag. I think I'm gonna start doing an actual mid-year update myself instead of doing the tag, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand really what that tag is. I think next year I'll just do a normal like mid-year update instead of doing the tag question, just so it's like obvious this is what I've read so far this year. Before I get in the books, I want to go ahead and announce that I will be doing a read along on my channel for December. It's going to start December 1st, and we're going to read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. As most of you probably know by now, this is the #1 book I wanted to read in 2020, and of course it is November and I still haven't gotten to it, so I'm going to host a read along basically just to get myself to actually read it. I know it's going to be an amazing book. I know it's going to be 5 stars. It was like the first book I had on my 5-star predictions list back on, oh my gosh, when was that video? Like forever ago when I first started my channel, so don't go and watch that, please. I'm just going to have the Discord chat linked down below in the description, and anyone with that link obviously is invited. So if you plan on reading Six of Crows this December, then you might as well read it along with us so then you can discuss it. I'm gonna be vlogging reading it for the first time as well here on my channel if you've already read it and don't feel like rereading it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the best books I have read so far this year. So the very first book I read this year was 5 stars, and it was expected because that was Finale by Stephanie Garber. And if you don't already know, I am a big Caraval, however we want to say it, everyone says it differently, stan. I love this series so much. You just get invested in all the different types of characters, and it does have a fantasy element. There's a lot of drama and, you know, relationship type things going on, but it's also very fun. It's just an entertaining read. Like if you just want to sit down and read a fantasy that you're just gonna have a lot of fun in, I would definitely consider picking up the Caraval series. I talk about it on my channel all the time, so I try not to. This is the 3rd and last book in this series. That's why it's called Finale. No surprise here, it was amazing. I actually didn't read this version. This is the UK edition. I read the series for the first time in the US edition, and then I had the UK edition for when I reread it, but I can't find Caraval anywhere. So if you know of anyone that has it that I can buy it from, please let me know. I will pay anything to get that book because it's actually out of print, so you can't buy it online anywhere. But yeah, not much to say since this is the 3rd book. The 2nd and 3rd books in this series are the best in my opinion. This is just like my guilty pleasure. I knew I had to read Finale as my first book of the year because then I knew I would start a good reading year. Honestly, did not have that great of a reading year. I don't think anyone has, but this is just, it's just so good. I've been looking at fan art recently. There's such good fan art out there, and it just makes me want to reread it all the time. It's just a comfort read for me. I enjoy every second reading this series, and it makes me want to pick up more books, especially books in series, because I just feel like I'm gonna get super invested and have fun like I did in this one, and I just can't rave about it enough. If you haven't picked it up, just go ahead and try it. I see hate on this series all the time, and it honestly makes me pretty mad just because I can tell people don't know what it's about. A lot of people think the series is about a carnival. I don't know where people get that. I really don't. It's about a magician that has his own island, so he has a game where he invites people to play in this magical game on this magical island, and our main character and her sister get invited to the game, but the main character finds out that her sister has been taken and she is kind of the prize of this game this year. So a lot is at stake for her. It's just fun. There's romance, there's mystery, a lot of mystery. You're just always on your toes guessing what's next. And yeah, I've talked about it a lot, I know, so I'm gonna go to the next book now. My next 5-star read was You by Caroline Kepnes. I have an entire vlog over reading this for the first time and watching the show for the first time, so I will link both of those down below. But this is such a unique, interesting read. If you want something different and you want something like super mysterious right now, it's so interesting, it's so unique. You are following a stalker, and it really opened my eyes a little bit to social media, because he does physical stalking, but he also does like extreme social media stalking, to where he's able to stalk people better because of social media. And of course, the main girl he is stalking is obsessed with social media, so he just has access to absolutely like everything she does, where she is, all her friends. It's crazy. It makes me feel so uneasy about social media, to be honest. It's really interesting because Joe thinks he's doing the right thing. He justifies all of these bad ideas and bad thoughts in his head to where he thinks he's helping people. You start to sympathize with him a little bit, and then you're kind of wondering, like, should I be sympathizing with him right now? Probably not, but like the book makes you realize he is a person just like any other person. He just does bad things and has bad thoughts, and yeah, it's kind of a mind fuck, to be honest. But it's super entertaining. It is kind of a long read, but I would definitely read this book if you're considering watching the show, because it was a better experience than it would have if I wouldn't have read the book first, because they did make a couple changes. And then, to be honest, I didn't really like season 2 as much. Kind of a polarizing book. A lot of people hate this, a lot of people love it. I'm one of those that loved it. It's weird to get into at first. You just don't really know what to expect or what's going on, but I would definitely recommend it. Next was The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I think is how you say her last name. I gave this one 4 stars, so I think this is the only 4-star read I gave this year, which is really weird because that's usually my common rating. I almost always rate books 4 stars if I like them, because I'm just like a hard person to please, but all the rest of the books on this list are actually 5 stars. So this is the first book I have ever read that is written in verse. I actually listened to the audiobook, and I feel like that's a really good way to go with her books specifically, because you really feel like the impact of the words, like how the poem is actually supposed to be said. She did have a new book come out this year called Clap When You Land, Clap When We Land, or Clap When You Land, one of the two. And I actually didn't rate that book very high. I didn't really enjoy it as much as this book. It was much longer, and I just felt like nothing really happened and the characters weren't very developed. Anyways, I did really enjoy this though. It is about a girl. She is Latina and she lives in New York, I think it is. It has a big focus about her relationship with her mother. Her mother is very religious, and she puts a lot of expectations on her, and she pressures her, you know, puts a lot of stress on her for how she lives her life, basically. And she's growing up in a different time than her mother, so there's a lot of that. She's kind of questioning religion. They are a very strong Catholic family. Her mother's very Catholic, and she has some stuff going on like with her friends and a boy, and she's really just trying to find like herself and how to be a woman, because she's kind of in that stage where she looks like a woman. You know, she's gone through puberty and all that, and she's getting catcalls and stuff, but she doesn't necessarily feel like a woman, and she feels like she has to have her life figured out when she really doesn't. And so I just related to this a lot. Obviously, I'm not Latina or anything like that, so I can't really speak on that behalf, or Catholic. I'm not Catholic, but everything about it was just so good. I was so intrigued the entire time. Like I said, I related to it. I love that it was in verse. I love poetry. I just think Elizabeth Acevedo's audiobooks are really good. Pretty quick too, so if you want a good quick audiobook, I would definitely recommend this. My next 5-star read didn't come for a while, so I didn't have a great reading experience for a few months, but once it did, I obviously loved it, and that was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So I've heard about this book so many times on BookTube, and I don't really hear about it anymore. I think people have kind of exhausted the topic at this point, but it's a really quick book. I had tweeted a few books that I had got and was like, which one should I read? And someone said something about We Were Liars, and so I thought at the time, you know, that's a very quick book. I'll just read it real quick, and I'm so glad I did. It took me longer to read this than expected. Kind of a difficult book to read. Basically, our main character goes to an island every summer that is owned by her family. Her family is rich, but the only reason she really goes there is for her cousins and then her friend of a cousin that she has a crush on. They call themselves the Liars. It's 2 boys and 2 girls, and one summer she ends up hurting her head and has a lot of complications afterwards, a lot of of medical complications and also just a lot of mental illness happening. She's very depressed. It just takes you for a whirlwind. It really does. I was bored at times reading this book, and then whenever the plot twist happened, I've never had a book before where I'm thinking it is one thing and then it just completely changes my entire perspective of the book completely within like 3/4 of the way through it or 80% through it, whatever it was. And so I just had to give this 5 stars because like I could not stop thinking about this book. I got it for super cheap, I think on Book Outlet. So yeah, I would definitely pick it up if you want something quick and easy. Just totally mind-boggling. Next on this list is the Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This was my first try at Christina Lauren and I love them. This is an author duo. It's 2 girls, Christina and Lauren, that write together. They're pretty popular in the contemporary romance genre. I hear people talking about them all the time and I really wanted to give a new author or authors a chance. So this was my first go at it. This was a new book at the end of last year, I believe. I'm actually reading my second Christina Lauren book right now. I like to listen to their audiobooks. So the Honey Don't List was an audiobook and I think I'm reading Dating You, Hating You, I think is what it's called, or Hating You, Dating You by Christina Lauren right now. This was so good. I realized I really like contemporary romances that are set in the workplace or there's some sort of like career work involvement in the book. This is about our main character working with a boy that they don't like necessarily like each other, but then obviously they start liking each other. And basically she is the assistant to the female, he is the assistant to the male, and the couple they are assistants to are reality show TV stars for like HGTV basically, you know, house flippers, house decorators, that sort of thing. So it was so interesting reading about that. My mom's obsessed with that type of reality TV, so it was super interesting reading about their relationship while being on the road with this couple that actually is wanting to get a divorce, but they have to fake that they're in love. Obviously they're going on a book tour to promote a book, so they have to fake that. And so our 2 like main characters are constantly having to deal with them and they're very annoying, let me tell you, extremely annoying, and also like hide their relationship from them so that they don't get them off track or whatever, because they obviously don't want to be together but they have to act like they're being together. And when I've heard people pitch this book, I just thought that is so dumb. Like I would never read that. That's so dumb. I think at the time I just wanted to try out Christina Lauren and I saw it was a kind of quick audiobook, so I gave it a try and I just loved it so much. I loved the main character. I loved the love interest. I told you the 2 reality stars were very annoying, and they were, but they were so interesting to read about, and I loved all the characters. I found it so entertaining to be along with 2 different relationships within like the workplace. It was entertaining to keep track of both of them, and yeah, I really liked it. So if you like contemporary romance, I would definitely give this a shot, especially the audiobook. The audiobook was very entertaining. My next 5-star read is of course Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. As you can see, I have tapped the crap out of it. This completed my first reread of the Twilight Saga. I did an entire series on my channel called Countdown to Midnight Sun. I'm sure if you're subscribed you already know about it, but I will link the playlist down below if you haven't seen all of the videos. I did multiple Twilight videos. Yeah, I obviously really love Twilight and this was a reread. I had to give it 5 stars. I did realize though rereading Breaking Dawn that it actually isn't one of my favorite books in the Twilight Saga. So originally the first time I read this saga when I was 13, my favorite books were between Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. I thought Eclipse was amazing. I liked Breaking Dawn so much because I didn't expect everything that happened. I didn't expect the imprinting, you know, at 13 years old, not having a lot of reading experience. I did not expect that plot twist. I didn't expect this huge Volturi fight. I don't even remember if I expected Bella to get pregnant, to be honest. I really just, I don't know, but it was my first big book I've ever read in my life as well, so I felt very accomplished and I just loved it. I was very entertained. So yeah, I can never decide between the 3rd and the 4th book in the saga, but now that I've reread it, I can't decide between the 1st and the 3rd book in the saga. Twilight, the original, the OG. She just gives me so much nostalgia that I just love it so much. I know it's not that great of writing and so forth and whatnot, but I really enjoyed it. It just gives me so much nostalgia. I love, the entire book is about discovering and getting to know Edward and the Cullens, and that's really what I want from the saga. I feel like I could reread Twilight over and over again, but probably New Moon and Breaking Dawn wouldn't be as enjoyable for me. So maybe in the future when I do my third reread, I'll just read Twilight and Eclipse and that's it, or maybe Midnight Sun again, I don't know. But yeah, obviously had to give this one 5 stars. The next book is the one, the only Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. Again, have an entire series called The Countdown to Midnight Sun because of this release. That will be linked down below, but also my release day vlog, my release day live, my reading vlog slash review of Midnight Sun. Everything will be linked down below if you do like the Twilight Saga or want to see any of those videos. But yes, it's what can I even say about this book? I don't even know. I will say YouTube has changed their algorithm, and if you do not have your bell notifications on, make sure you have your bell notifications on for this channel, because a lot of my Twilight people, they just love all my videos, but then none of them really got notified when my reading vlog slash review video was posted for this. I've even gotten questions about it, and I'm just like, it's on my channel, what are you talking about? If you're subscribed, you should get it, but obviously YouTube has changed some things, and just make sure your bell notifications are on, because other than that, the only way you're gonna know of some videos when they don't tell you is to go on my channel, and no one really wants to do that. So yeah, this is my most highly anticipated book of this year. I don't really anticipate books, to be honest. I get excited for books, but I just feel like I haven't read like enough series to really just get super excited for books, and obviously it's like my favorite series of all time, so very excited for this one. I gave it 5 stars, or no, I gave it 4.5, I think. The only book in the saga that I gave under 5 stars, and I have an entire reading vlog slash review video over it, so I'm not gonna go over it. You can just watch that video for more details. But I mean, look at this. I just love Edward so much. He's my favorite character, so very expected. And then finally, the last book on this list, my last 5-star read, was Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. So again, I have a video pertaining to this book. I will link it down below. I let professionals choose my TBR. So I tried out an online book recommendation service. I got recommended 3 books, and I chose this book to read for the vlog slash review for the recommendation service. It's called mytbr.org, and this book was amazing. I wanted to try magical realism, and this was the only magical realism recommendation I got, so of course I chose this one to read, and it's just, it's so good. If you like Gilmore Girls, you will definitely like this, but if you like Practical Magic, the movie with Sandra Bullock, this is Practical Magic in a book. It's literally a mixture of Practical Magic and a little bit of Gilmore Girls sprinkled in there. Our 2 main characters are sisters, and they come from a long line of witches, or their family owns a magical garden, so they're not technically witches. I mean, they kind of are, but again, it's magical realism, so it's not really explained. It's just kind of like a thing that everyone knows about, and it's based in this small town in North Carolina, so it's kind of like a small southern town. There's a few people we follow. We have so many different perspectives, but one of the sisters runs away from her husband that has been abusive their entire marriage, and they have a child together, so she goes back to the small town North Carolina to live with her sister at the house they grew up in with the magical garden. And it's so much fun. It's interesting. You get to see that small town kind of life and the interactions with people and things that happen, how they deal with being witches in a small town where everyone knows they're witches. It's literally Practical Magic. The events are like paired up with Practical Magic. The characters are the Practical Magic characters. It's kind of crazy. But there's a sequel to this book that I'm going to pick up probably next year, and I have decided that I'm going to read all of Sarah Addison Allen's books. I found out that she hasn't written a book since like 2015 or something, which is really sad, but I have quite a few books to read, and maybe she'll come out with another one in the future. So yeah, this was a great read. I have raved about it a lot on my channel. So I'm gonna stop talking about it. And those are all of the 4 and 5-star books I have read this year. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up for me, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't, if you feel like it. And like I said, please turn your bell notifications on, because YouTube be stressing your girl out. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.